Good morning. Can everyone hear me? All right, good morning. I think we'd like to go ahead and get started. So on behalf of the Jasper Chamber, I would like to thank everyone for being here today. This is a great annual event that we like to hold to inform everyone about things that are going on within the county and the school corporation and then the city of Jasper. So we have some speakers this morning that will enlighten you and maybe surprise you about a few things. You just never know. Our speakers will be the DuBois County Council President Jerry Hunefeld, DuBois County Commissioners President Nick Hostetter, the Greater Jasper School Corporation Superintendent Tracy Lorai, and Jasper Mayor Terry Seitz. So we thank them for taking the time to not only speak here this morning, but to prepare their presentations. So I would like to call upon Nick Hostetter to come forth, and he'll give our first presentation.
Okay.
They're dim. Okay. Are you okay on that?
Yeah, I should be good.
Okay.
All right.
You good?
I'm good. Good morning, everyone. I'm Nick Hostetter, President of the DuBois County Commissioners. I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time out of their day to come here today and learn about what's going on in county government. I'd also like to thank the other speakers, Dr. Lorai, Mayor Seitz, and Councilman Hunefeld for being here today. I think it's important for the public to stay informed what's going on in local government and stay connected. And it's also important for us to listen to you and use your feedback. That's what we learn from. Apologize, I'm using two separate computers here, so. All right, as you can see, we have quite a few things to cover here today. There's so many different parts of DuBois County government. I promise you, I'm not gonna cover them all. I contacted all of our department heads, and I asked them what they thought was most important for me to share here today. So instead of drumming through each department and putting everybody to sleep here, I'm just gonna hit on the highlights that they provided me with. Okay, first I spoke with our county clerk, Bridget Jarbo. This year the in-person absentee voting will begin on April 10th, 2018, 8 a.m. sharp. It will move this year from the third floor of the courthouse to the first floor of the annex. It's going to be in the council chambers. We hope to make the access a little easier for the early voters, and maybe we'll get a little increased voter turnout as well. Also, the election board is working out the details of other locations, so please check out the county website to find that information when it becomes available. One other thing the clerk wanted me to cover today was that they're in the process of imaging their older marriage licenses and other items for public record. And just something to make things a little easier and more efficient. Targeting the end of March for this completion. Okay. Dina Hubler is our CASA director. If you're not familiar with CASA, it's court-appointed special advocate. They had a very busy 2017. They served 233 kids. Unfortunately, they still had 15 that were left unserved. They have 65 active volunteers. They continue to serve the county very well, the county children very well. They're also always looking for new volunteers. So if you're not familiar with the program, take a little time, maybe Google it or go to our county website and look at their page and just learn a little bit more about it and maybe consider volunteering some of your time as well. It's a great program. It's really helping out some of the kids who need it here in the county. And our solid waste management district is led by Carla Striegel-Winter. In a nutshell, our solid waste management district is responsible for keeping as much waste out of the landfill as possible and proper recycling and proper disposal of that waste. They make sure what can be recycled is recycled and everything else is disposed of properly. And this year she's really excited, and if you know Carla, you know how excited she can get about her job. They launched this new 3R Waste Wizard. It's a search engine on the, it's on the DuBois County webpage, and then go to the Solid Waste Management District. You can search this Waste Wizard for anything you need to dispose of, maybe an old couch in your basement or a refrigerator. whatever you can think of. So far, she said in February they had about 500 users log on and search for anything from shoes to air conditioners and computers. It's a great new resource, so I encourage you all to go try it out. Also, we're hoping that it can also be used for the residents to tell what other types of recycling, regular recycling we take, like glass and plastics. And we're hoping this is going to help lower our contamination rates at the 8 county recycling sites. Okay. Our county treasurer, Kitty Merkley, shared with me that they are in the process of switching credit card processing companies to make it faster and more efficient for the taxpayers to pay their property taxes online. Anytime we can switch something to online, we're saving the office a little bit of work, so I think she's definitely moving in the right direction there. Something else she's working on is planning to purchase some new payment processing equipment. This one she's waiting on council approval, so I guess, Jerry, that's your plug. And she's hoping it'll make it faster and more efficient to collect the payments as well. And on a little side note, everybody's excited to hear it, but tax bills are scheduled to be mailed out on April 4th this year. Due dates are the May 10th and November 13th. Okay, Community Corrections, that's Megan Durloff is the head up there. She had a lot of things for me to share with you today. So their participant attendance in their evidence-based programming has increased more than 10 times over any prior year this year. So they're definitely having success up there. Also, their user fee collections are producing a budget surplus after years of deficits. I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, they had to come to the council a few times to ask for additional appropriations because people weren't paying their user fees and they weren't being able to make ends meet. So this is definitely good news for us. Also, their treatment programs have expanded exponentially as a result of a $228 million TANF grant that they've continued to receive now since 2016. Also, they are studying their recidivism rates and how the increased programming is impacting the rates of the program graduates. The study's ongoing, and we won't see any firm results for 3 years because the way recidivism is measured, it's the 3 years following a release date. So hopefully 3 years from now, somebody's standing up here talking about how great those programs are doing, and hopefully we don't have repeat customers up at Community Corrections. I just wanted to put this up there just to show you all the different programs that they do offer. Okay. Our health department continues to provide the county with the much needed doses of vaccines. They also inspect 225 local food establishments, as I very well know, and they issue sewage, on-site sewage disposal permits throughout the county. So if anyone's building a new house anywhere outside of a jurisdiction in the county, you would have to go to the health department and get a permit for your sewage there. So Donna Aiding, the head there, shared with me that health happens where we live, work, and play. And the health department, along with numerous public health partners, work to identify factors that affect our residents and work to improve the health of Du Bois County. In one of those partnerships, we're partnering with the American Cancer Society to provide funding for increased adolescent HPV immunization rates in the county. The plan will implement evidence-based interventions to increase screening rates and follow the CDC and Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices recommendation that boys and girls aged 9 through 14 receive 2 doses of vaccine at least 6 months apart. Also from the Health Department, with a grant from the Area Health Education Committee and the Du Bois County Community Foundation, the Mental Health Committee of Du Bois County Public Health Partnership now has 4 certified trainers for mental health first aid. In 2017, approximately 45 community members have been trained in this evidence-based program. The goal is to educate and outreach to all segments of Du Bois County concerning mental health and how it impacts members of our community. Our highway department. Just to put into perspective how much work our highway department has out there, they maintain over 660 miles of roadway 384 asphalt, 143 is chip and seal, 112 miles of gravel, and 21 miles of dirt roads. They also maintain 164 bridges that are 20 feet in length or more, and that includes in cities and towns. Our paving budget this year is just a little over $3.9 million. Of that, 631,000 plus is part of our community crossings grant. And I'm sure everybody wonders when I say 3.9 million, where's all that money go? Well, we had a very bad winter for our roads, especially our chip and seal. So if you live on a county road with chip and seal, I'm sure you very well know that they broke up a lot with the ice over the winter. So we'll be repairing a lot of chip and seal roads due to the harsh winter. And then we'll also be doing some seal coating and preservation of roads. There's a lot of new technologies out there now. So instead of paving a road and 10 years later coming back and paving it again, we hit it with seal coat, we fix the cracks, so on and so forth. And some of these roads, if we treat them right, can last upwards of 20 years. I have some specific projects, and I apologize, it's kind of listy, but I don't know any better way to get through it. But we're widening and preparing for paving on County Road 800 West in Patoka and Madison Township. We'll be doing blacktop resurfacing in 200 and 300 North in Madison. Same in 400 North, 600 North, and 725 North in Harbison Township. We're blacktop resurfacing on Portersville Road West in Boone Township, 125 East and 300 North in Marion Township, Highland Estates and a portion of Ellsworth Road in Celestine, and 700 East in Jackson Township. Also, 600 West, 350 and 375 South, and 75 West and Sunset Drive in Patoka Township. And then we're hoping if our bids come in nicely and are all favorable, we can add Stewart Road, 450 North in Columbia, 900 South, and 200 West in Cass Township. Okay, some commissioner issues. Our initial jail study was completed, and now we move on to the PONY phase. The PONY is planning of new institutions. I'm going to let Jerry speak a little bit more about this later. He's on the committee for the new jail. We've also just went over the road and bridge projects. We've been in discussion about the county subdivision ordinance. Our main goal here is to make it easier, I guess, for people to do what they want with their land, but also not to burden or cause too much burden on our future generations. The Mid-State Corridor continues to be a topic of discussion for the commissioners, and we're now working on our appointments, along with other entities, to the recently developed RDA, the Regional Development Authority. In 2018, the county made a switch to a new insurance broker to better serve our employees of the county and also help us control our healthcare costs. We're currently studying whether or not to add a wellness aspect and possibly partner with a clinic to further benefit our employees. Studying our facility needs is a constant as we continue to grow and add new services in the county. Our CASA office was moved this past year from the courthouse to the home next to the fire station on 6th Street in partnership with the city of Jasper. I'd say thank you to Jasper for that. We're also planning on a remodel of the commissioners' chambers that would combine the commissioners and council chambers into one and free up the council's space as a meeting space. And also, this is where the early voting is going to take place. So it may also become, in later days, more offices, but for now it just gives us a little bit of free space in the county, which is always needed. All right, one of the most exciting things I get to present here today is that we have a new website. It should be coming online soon. I'll give Chad Blessinger some props on that. He's worked really hard on this one. Probably the most exciting thing I get to share today. And we hope it's going to be a place where our citizens can go and easily find information about what's going on in the local government. It's meant to be more user-friendly, not only for our citizens, but also for our employees. So hopefully some of our information gets up there a little more timely, and therefore you get it sooner too. Should be able to come here to find road closures, voting locations, and more. And just for fun, I threw up the old website there, just to show you how far we've come. Du Bois County was founded in 1818. I think the website was pretty close there behind. So, all right, and in closing, I just want to say thanks again for everybody here. I see nobody sleeping, so I did well in my job. And remember, as public officials, our lines are always open. Feel free to give us a call. Of course, we don't like to hear griping, but we have to sometimes because that's how we know what's going on out in the county and in your neck of the woods. So thanks again.
All right, our next speaker will be Jerry Hunefeld. He's the president of the Du Bois County Council. So Jerry.
I want to thank Nancy and Chamber for the invitation. It's always a privilege to come and share some thoughts that I have concerning the work of the council. We have a very active group of 7 people. They are involved in a wide variety of discussion groups and committees, and the part that you see as the county council meeting once a month, maybe twice a month, is really just the tip of the iceberg. Most of our time is spent kind of under the radar, doesn't get reported, but it's all a part of the function of the county government. I want to talk about 3 things. We have just undertaken and have now completed the wage study. This started almost 2 years ago, and we've had multiple meetings. Great amount of time has been put into it, a great amount of thought has been put into it. Charmaine Clem has been chairing that subcommittee. I asked her a couple of weeks ago how many hours she put into that particular activity, and her comment was, "Oh my." I'm saying it's hundreds of hours. Craig Gralick was on that committee. Mike Kleesner helped with that committee. Elmer Brahmas was a big help in developing the standards that we have come up with. I also served on that committee, but Charmaine and Elmer did I'll have to tell you, and Craig, I think you'll agree, they did the lion's work of that wage study. And I am really happy to say that we got the final document. The council and the commissioners should have gotten it maybe last week, and it will be taken up publicly at our next commissioner and council meeting, and that's going to be on March the 17th? March the 19th, I believe. We broke it down into several groups, several categories. The first thing we did with the wage study was to develop classification. And the problem that we had in the county is that we had someone in this building doing this job, and they were over in this building doing a very similar job, but they were not classified the same way, and they were not getting paid the same way. And our goal was to equalize pay that was given to people doing the same kind of work. So we had to do a job classification. We used federal guidelines in identifying what kind of work this position is, and then we tried to put them all in a similar category. That has to be approved by the commissioners, and they will do that on the 19th. And also on the 19th, the second phase will be discussed at the council meeting, and that is the wage spread that we have for each of the wage categories. I'm not going to go into any details because details sometimes kind of get lost. Those details will be discussed at the commissioners meeting and at the council meeting as well. But first of all, we have the classification, and then secondly, we have the salary range, which means that if you are classified this way, your salary should fit somewhere on an hourly basis over here, and we have a range of several dollars based on an hourly wage. First of all, we had to make a determination about how we're going to compare people, because some people work 40-hour weeks, some people work 35-hour weeks, some people get overtime, some people don't get overtime, and so we had just a lot of variation. So the only way that we could come up with that seemed to be a fair comparison was that we converted everybody to an hourly wage. And then we went from there in determining what a fair salary would be. The third part, for lack of a better word, I'm just going to call it salary bumps. We have people who are doing the same job in different buildings and their pay is not even close. And so we wanted to equalize that, and in order to equalize that, the only way we could figure out to do it is we just had to bump some people up to the right spot. And so it's really, there are three parts. You've got the wage scale, which the council will be discussing. You have the job classification, which the commissioners will be discussing. And then you have the wage bumps, which also will be discussed at the council. And much more detail will be provided whenever we present those things. Second thing I want to talk about is our penal system study, better known as the jail study. But it does involve more than the jail. It involves community corrections, it involves probation, it involves the court system, it involves deputies, and anyone who is associated with the penal system in Du Bois County. We have been put on notice by the state that our facility is inadequate, understaffed, overcrowded, and to put it very simply, just isn't doing the job that needs to be done. So the commissioners, as Nick indicated, started a study commission. Gil Eckerly has graciously agreed to chair that. The good part about Gil doing that is he's not a commissioner, he's not a council person, he's not a county employee, he's kind of an outside person. And we have 16 on that committee, and they represent every phase of the penal system in Du Bois County, including people who are just interested citizens. And we have another 16 who will be serving on subcommittees as we need them in the future. So that process is underway. I have no idea when it will be done. It will not be soon. I also have no idea what the recommendations will be, because there are lots of options and there are a lot of things that we kind of have decided we maybe can't do or shouldn't do, but I guess we could say everything is on the table at this point. My personal opinion, and I'm just one of the 16, my personal opinion is that it has to include some kind of rehabilitative service. There has to be some education, there has to be some counseling, there has to be some rehabilitation for our inmates. Much of that is not being done. The experts tell us that in order for an individual to be impacted, they have to have 200 hours of counseling before they actually kind of turn the corner. And we're not close to 200 hours. In order to get to that point, we're going to have a lot of, first of all, we're going to have a different kind of building. And secondly, we're going to have different kind of staff, and certainly more staff. We are understaffed the way it is, and some of the people that we're going to need, if we go the rehabilitative route, some of these will have to be people with degrees and experts in their field. Somehow we need to find a way to get our county people who are having difficulty with substance abuse or having difficulty with mental issues we have to find a way to make their life work better. And hopefully that will be accomplished somehow with the new study. Third thing I want to talk about, and Nick mentioned this and I want to elaborate a little bit, is the Mid-States Corridor, also known as the Huntingburg-Jasper Bypass. It has changed names, and you recall, I think, that bypass was to have been completed in 2015. I drove by there a while ago. There's not even a stake in the ground. State took it off the table, said we need that money elsewhere, and that was kind of the end of the discussion. State legislation passed the last session, not this year, but the last session, kind of opened up an avenue for that to be put back on the table, and we are aggressively pursuing the possibility of getting that reopened. Du Bois Strong is a part of that, and other county people are a part of that. Some of them are in private industry, some of them are in government, and we are trying to reopen that discussion so that the state, so that we can get the state's attention and say to them, hey, we need to have this finished. And that's going to be a long process. And again, I don't know when that will occur. I want to give you, to illustrate the point here, I want to give you kind of a personal illustration. My grandfather lived in Holland. Didn't have a car, didn't have a driver's license. But when he needed to come to the courthouse in Jasper, he had to be taken. And when he went through Huntingburg, which he did, and when he went through Jasper to get to the courthouse, he rode on the same roadway that brought me here. The only thing that has changed is they've taken off-street parking away and they put on new surfaces. Well, kind of new surfaces. Sometimes good, sometimes not so good. It's the same roadbed I drive on. It's the same roadbed my grandchildren and my children drive on. That's 5 generations. My great-grandkids will be driving in 13 years. If we miss this window of opportunity, we'll be driving on that same roadbed for the next 50 years. And we will have to go through the Huntingburg and Jasper funnels. I call them funnels because it goes down to where it was originally. So, in order to do that, we are pursuing the state, pleading with the state, get us back on schedules, get us back on the table so that we have a chance for this to be done. It will require local funding. The state no longer comes in and says, we'll build this road, you just kind of relax and we'll take care of it. That day is over. It will require local funding, not only from governments, but it also will be required of industry. It's going to be a public-private partnership. And we will have to come up with a long-term money stream to take care of that expense. And if we don't make that pledge, the state is probably going to say, well, we can find another spot to spend our money. So that's the way the game has changed. Now locals have to participate and be a part of it. I know the wheels of government move slowly, and I know I will never see that road, but I hope we get the road somewhere down the road. In conclusion, talked about 3 things. Neither of them are cheap. the council is really going to be challenged to meet the needs of all three of these. And ultimately, it is going to be the council's decision on where we get this money. How can we find money to fund Mid-State Corridor? How can we find money to build the new correctional facility, whatever that is going to look like? And also, how do we find the money to do the wage study the way the committee has suggested it be done? Every once in a while, I wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, and I think, how am I going to solve all of these problems, and how am I going to figure out where to get this money? Then the Holy Spirit reminds me it's not an I question. It's a we question. We have many people at the county level who are very capable of being a part of this solution, very capable of making a contribution. Some elected officials, some of them are industrial, some of them are on boards, some of them are just interested private citizens. But we have very capable people, and I have great confidence that we will successfully solve these issues. Thank you.
All right, Tracy Laura is our next speaker. You need to get something plugged in here.
Go here. Need to escape from that. I'll have to turn this around. I'll just do this. You can tell I don't use a PC very often. All right. Very good. Well, good afternoon. I think it is afternoon now, just barely. Appreciate Nancy and the Chamber inviting me to participate once again in our annual update of something that I hold near and dear to my heart, and I think many of you in the room do, and that is our local school system, the Greater Jasper Consolidated Schools. So I thought today we would just take a little bit to give you an update on some of our demographics, statistics, and many of the wonderful programs that we have going on, and maybe some eye-opening statistics that we haven't shared in the past. As a school district, we collect and assess a lot of different demographic data about our students, our staff, our faculty, and we do that as a way to maximize our resources, as well as to clearly understand who we are as a school district and how we represent not only ourselves, but our community as a whole. I'm not going to read all of the information that you will see on each of these slides, but I think it is representative of much of the data that we try to look at regularly as we try to gauge what our future needs might be. So in 2017, our official enrollment was 3,161 students. We actually do two counts each year. One is in September, the other one is in February. One of those counts is one that allows us to achieve and obtain the funding that we need from a state level per pupil. The other one is for informational purposes. So that enrollment number may fluctuate one way or the other from day to day, depending upon the mobility of our students. In our last official count in February, we were at 3,139 students. Again, you can see the demographic makeup of our students. And then as well as that, we also look at some other special classifications of our kids. So about 32% of our students in the district receive free and reduced lunches. And that for us is a measure of poverty in our student population, and with that brings certain learning characteristics or support needs that we would need to be able to provide to our kids as they're engaging in the learning environment. The same thing goes for our special education student population. About 12% of our total student population is receiving some sort of special education services. And almost 6% of our kids are considered English language learners, meaning that English is not their first language and it is not their proficient language. Therefore, we are providing services to help them acquire that language as well as the academic language that will help them be successful here in our country. When we think about our enrollment historically, what we have noticed is that we have seen a bit of a trend down in our enrollment locally. So since 2012, we see about a negative 2.3% decrease in student enrollment. Another piece of data that we track would be our attendance rate. So as you can see, more than 97% attendance rate means that our kids are coming to school, and that's important because in order for us to accomplish and for them to accomplish the goals that we have set for them academically, to prepare them for their next steps, they certainly need to be in school. When we talk a little bit about our staff, we currently have approximately 215 full-time certified staff members. We classify certified staff as those who are credentialed, either a teacher, administrator, counselor, etc. To complement that, we have around 128 non-certified support staff members that support the learning environment in a variety of ways. That could be as instructional assistants, maintenance and custodial staff, bus drivers, cooks, etc. Of the staff members, our most veteran teacher has 60 years of experience. I thought I'd throw that out there because I think that individual might hold a state record for that. I don't think I'll make it to 60 years, but I'll try. And 87% of our certified staff has 10 or more years of service. And we use that as a gauge of experience and the kinds of things that experience brings into the classroom setting. Our teachers are contracted for 183 days per year, and their salary ranges from a beginning salary of about $35,239 for that 183 days, all the way up to the very tip top of those who have been here with the most experience to $70,046. With that being said, approximately $11.7 million of our general fund are used to pay for salary, wages, and benefits of certified staff, and you can add about another $3.8 million to that to support the non-certified support staff. So in large, the bulk of our general funds are invested in the people that provide the educational services and supports for students across the district. Just a little quick look at just some budget numbers. Our 2017 assessed valuation was $1,175,089,627, and then our 2018 certified is about 20 to 22 million more than that. So we have begun seeing a trend upward in our assessed value, which is an important fact for us. Our total budget appropriations for 17 was $35,308,207, and our tax rate is around $1.09. And our 18 tax rate was just recently certified at about that exact same amount. So we work very hard to try to strategically manage the budgets that we are leveraging from state and local dollars to be cognizant of our taxpayers' contribution and do it in a way that allows us to meet the educational needs that we have and need to have funding for, but also in a way that doesn't create inconsistencies for our taxpayers. Just some other facts. Our total assets for the district at the end of '07 was about $97 million, and about 91% of those assets can be attributed to the buildings. We have great campuses, people who take excellent care of those campuses. They are a reflection of our standards and expectations, not only as a school district, but as a community. And I think oftentimes when you hear of people coming to our community for different events, they often comment about how wonderful our community is and how well kept and maintained and up to date our facilities really are. We received a little bit more than $1.2 million in federal aid in grants to support programs like Title I, Title III. Some other quick facts. Our lease rental debt for our middle school and our high school, along with a recent addition to the classrooms at Ireland Elementary, are scheduled to be paid down in January of 2024. And you might ask, well, that's great, but why would we want to know that? Well, whenever we utilize local dollars to take care of our facility needs, we, again, try to do that in a way that is consistent for our taxpayers. And when we have debt coming off and we know that as a future possibility, it allows the district to be able to continue to leverage local dollars in a very conservative and a very strategically planned way. And so we can't take care of all of the facility needs that we have through just a general capital projects fund, but being able to leverage debt service locally allows us to take care of things that need to be done, but we don't get locally through capital projects. So with that being said, we have strategic planning going on currently with how, as that debt falls off, what will our actual needs be for student facilities, campuses, and learning, and doing that in a way, again, that doesn't overburden our taxpayers. Just a few operational fun facts about the district that I think, to me, are somewhat mind-blowing when you sit back and take a look at all the work that a great staff that we employ does on an annual basis. We have over 203,000 acres that are maintained by our maintenance staff. We have 813,990 square feet of buildings that are maintained by the maintenance staff, as well as kept clean and in working operation for our kids with our custodial staff. We have 58 bus runs daily. That's half in the morning, half in the evening. And that equates to about 1,067 miles driven per day. And when you look at that on an annual basis, it's almost mind-blowing. 191, almost 192,000 miles driven by buses just in regular routes on a daily basis throughout the year. We served 387,422 lunches last year, and we served 79,266 breakfasts to our students. So those support services are absolutely fundamental to ensuring our kids have all of their needs met so that they're ready to learn when they come to our classrooms. The academic success of our students really is grounded in the mastery of their skills and the concepts, and they get all of that through core instruction. The course content is very important for our students to be able to ensure that they are ready for whatever that future might be for them, whether it's a career choice, a military choice, a college choice. We have to prepare all students for whatever their personal best choice is going to be. And so we're very proud of the academic opportunities that we can provide for our students, as well as some of the varied programs. And so I want to spend a little time talking a little bit about that here. Last year we graduated 255 students, 97% of those, which is an excellent graduation rate. 133 of those earned a Core 40 Academic Honors Diploma. 4 of them earned a Core 40 Technical Honors Diploma. I will tell you, I hope to see those technical honors diplomas increasing over time. As you might be aware, or maybe I'll be sharing for the first time, there is a statewide focus currently on career and technical education and looking at graduation pathways for students, trying to assure that we are allowing students opportunities to explore careers and able to create course pathways to help them to achieve those careers later on. Just in this legislative session, we've seen legislation around workforce development, career and technical education, graduation pathways, dealing with things like employability skills, and all of those types of legislation and programs at the state level are really geared at looking at the need to fill a skilled labor market that is at deficit in the state and is going to continue to be a deficit, as well as locally. And so by being able to focus some of our attention in those areas, as well as partner with local industry and leverage dollars from different grants, we're hoping to be able to build up and make robust some of those opportunities for our students. A lot of our college-bound kids have an opportunity to participate in advanced placement courses. Those are important for kids because as they progress through those courses and they take those advanced placement tests, anybody who scores a 3, 4, or 5 is able to transfer the credit that they've earned in those courses to a state university. And that's free. And if any of you have kids that have gone to college, I had 6 at one time, it's expensive. And so anytime they have an opportunity to earn free credit, that's kudos to them for their academic foresight, but it's also kudos for mom and dad in their pocketbook. Of those 291 kids, over 400 were able to take AP exams. Of course, that's a duplicate number. We have kids taking multiple advanced placement courses at a time. We have 10 opportunities, and you can see those listed in the bar graph. And we're getting ready to add a couple more next year in the area of the arts to give a little bit more of a diverse look at some areas for kids to explore. 65% of our scores of the test takers qualify for college credit, which is outstanding, and 9% of those who took the test received a perfect score of 5, which is also very impressive. Because of some of the work that we've done in advanced placement, we have seen some very important recognitions by the state and also on a national level. We were recognized by the Department of Education for providing successful dual credit opportunities for students. More than 25% of our students are able to take advantage of dual credit opportunities, and that's one of the thresholds for being recognized in that category. We were also recognized for more than 25% of our students passing an advanced placement exam, which is another measure of success. We've been honored by the College Board Honor Roll for increasing advanced placement opportunities for students. And there were a total of 992 courses taken by our students last year. So I think you can see when I started in the central office, we had one AP course opportunity, and that was AP Calculus. And you can see we've worked very hard to grow those opportunities for students over time. There are several assessments. You've all heard of ISTEP. ISTEP is the state assessment for students in grades 3 through 8 and also a graduation requirement for students in grades 10. That has been a forever changing test and target over the last several years. And so we've seen a lot of change in the types of questions and the types of ways that we engage students. And so across the state, you've seen a real drastic drop in the overall pass rates in the English language arts and the math assessments, which I'm happy to say that we've been able to maintain above that state target, but we're certainly concerned and not satisfied with the test at the 10th grade level. But as you can see, when you compare to the state average, we're still well above that. So I was always taught in tests and measurements that if you have that many kids who aren't passing the test, it's probably not the kids, it's the tests. So we'll continue to work on that. We look at performance and growth. So performance means we look at how many kids are passing the benchmark, but we also want to look at the kind of growth that kids are making because kids are learning throughout the year, and I think it's important for us to recognize that growth is an important part of their learning. As I noted, almost 6% of our students are English as a new language, or ESL, 404 to be exact last year. We have 8 native languages spoken by our ESL students, and 16 native countries of origin are represented in our ESL student population. we talked about 12% of our kiddos receiving special education services. That's about 458 students. 66% of those spend 80% or more of their time in the regular classroom. And that's an important number for us, because our goal is to be able to accommodate the learning and modify the learning for students in a way that they can learn with their peers in a regular classroom where it makes the most sense. And so that's an important number for us. We did receive about almost $1.5 million in state funding for special education services last year. Another important program opportunity that we have for our kids would be our career and technical education programs. We are a partner in the Patoka Valley Career and Technical Cooperative. There are school districts from Du Bois, Pike, Perry, and Spencer County that are members. You can see this list of opportunities for kids. And one of our many wonderful programs would be our HOSA program. And the HOSA program is our Health Occupations Students of America program, capstone for seniors. A lot of our students get to go out on rotations with local medical related fields to help them kind of hone in what their medical career choices could potentially be. And last year, that program was recognized by the Indiana Career and Technical Education Group with an award as a program of the year. Let's see here. Okay, just a little bit. Technology definitely plays an important part in our society, as well as the world that our students live in. It's important for us to give students experiences with technology in a blended learning environment, because it teaches them so many skills that they're going to need when they leave us, not only to go on to a post-secondary education learning opportunity, but also as they go into the workforce. So our teachers and our students engage with technology in a way that it makes sense. We're hoping that that will continue to beef up their skills so that they are prepared for the next steps. We have a lot of arts opportunities for kids, both in visual and performing arts. Our goal really is to try to give our kids a well-rounded opportunity. And so the arts is one area that we can give them opportunity to stimulate their creative thinking, critical thinking, collaboration, et cetera. And of course, to the right, we have some points of pride. Our marching band has been to the state finals 26 years in a row, and that's a remarkable feat. And those kids and staff work very hard to achieve that. Of course, along with that well-rounded education, we have a lot of athletic programs for kids to participate in if they choose, 22 right now to be exact. You can see a laundry list of accomplishments of our athletic programs. Both the arts programs and the athletic programs are representative not only of our school and our community, and I think our kids step up to the plate very well when they compete on the floor, on the field, both home and away. And we're very proud of that. We have a variety of altruistic activities, service learning projects. We feel like those are an important part of a student's learning because it gives them an opportunity to give back to the community, as well as to learn the values of selflessness, empathy, and gratitude. And I think if we can do a good job of instilling those qualities, our world would be a much better place. And then, of course, we have some other noteworthy activities. I'm not going to mention them all. A couple of them that I think you may all be aware of. The Leader in Me program is a Franklin Covey program that was brought to Fifth Street Elementary School several years ago by former principal Leah Jesse. And that program really is an opportunity for students to gain the skills and learn that they are empowered to be leaders. And if you ever have the opportunity to visit that school, it definitely permeates the culture of that school. And we are looking to extend that to the Jasper Elementary School in the future and into 10th Street next year as we try to blend those two into a new school. And then, of course, our Comfort Dog program that we started at the high school, but it has bled into all of the other schools, is just a great support program that it helps students to understand caring, compassion, responsibility, and building relationship skills. And then last but not least, we want to talk a little bit about what the future holds for us. And so just a snippet, not everything. Obviously, the big thing on the plate right now is the construction of the new Jasper Elementary School, which will be on the north side of the campus at Jasper Middle School. That is due to open in August of 2020. Obviously, all the nuts and bolts of the construction, design, bidding, and the actual process of construction is one piece of that. But a more important part is the work that's being done behind the scenes to begin to blend two school cultures, staff, and students into one climate, culture, and set of expectations. And so that's going on simultaneously now as we are getting ready to look into construction. STEM is an area that we are definitely beginning to focus more of our attention on. Opportunities for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, hands-on, work-based kind of learning opportunities for kids. We certainly would like to add the arts into that and think about it as STEAM as opposed to STEM. We talked a little bit about graduation pathways. We're working very targeted strategies to look at how we can afford students career exploration opportunities to help them become a little bit more attuned to what their skills levels are, interest levels are, and the kinds of careers that can be tailored to those skills and how we create pathways of education to get there. And then, of course, it's always on our mind, but of course, most recently, school safety. We are working as a team to assess the current safety of our facilities, procedures, processes, as a means to determine if there are any things that we need to further beef up those protocols to ensure that our students are safe and in a learning environment that will make them successful. So that's a lot. I think I might have gone on for my 20 minutes. I'm sorry, Mayor. Thanks again to Nancy and everyone here. I appreciate the opportunity to share about Greater Jasper, and my door is always open. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, please never hesitate to give me a call or come visit. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mayor Terry Seitz, and he'll tell you about what's happening in Jasper.
Thank you, Nancy. And this is my official State of the City address. So we are going to attempt to do a little Facebook Live if the Wi-Fi permits us to do. Give me a chance to set up. As I set up for today, I had, it was kind of an interesting look walking into the, my PowerPoint that was there earlier today is gone. Lisa, want to bring up the little thing? Sorry about that. Not sure in the case of switching things around with other PowerPoints. It was there when I started, but it's not. We'll reload it. Anyway, thank you. If I can find the, Lisa, I may need your help to find it. Sorry. I need a light is what I need. Got it. Looks like we got it. As soon as I can open that. We don't need that. We don't need that. Not sure. Nick, where'd you hide me? We're good. Anyway, as I was preparing for this today, I noticed a very special guest that I was not expecting to come in is Father Ray Brenner. And Father, how's it appear from the back of the church? It's nice, okay. Well, thank you very much. And Nancy, thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for, again, hosting this event. It's really nice to be able to be here with county officials, school officials, and just to let all of you know as citizens, we work very well together. We may have different styles. We may disagree occasionally, but we do communicate on a very regular basis. You'll hear me mention some things mentioned by the county. In my presentation this morning, you'll also hear things that Tracy brought up from the city perspective. But I stand before you a very humble mayor, mainly because I have the privilege of talking about one of the best cities in not only in the state of Indiana, what I believe is the Midwest, and that is Jasper. One state official called Jasper a dynamo, and I appreciate that. But it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen without effort. And I stand before you today on behalf of the employees and staff of the city of Jasper of saying thank you for the privilege of serving you. In addition, we're very grateful that we do get a great deal of gratitude expressed by citizens of our community for the work that we do, and that means a lot. Altogether, we are looking specifically at our quality of place. For us, that's what makes our city function, not just for now, but for the future. And that's what the tone of the message of the state of the city for 2018 is going to be. But what is quality of place? Here's one description of it from a public official in Maine. Quality of place consists of those characteristics of a community or region that make it distinctive from other places and attractive as an area to reside, work, and/or visit. Quality of place encompasses a community's environment, civic traditions, cultural amenities, recreational opportunities. For me, it's the lower left-hand corner that says it all. Essentially, quality of place is what makes Jasper, Jasper. Our faith, our history, our business community, our workforce, our amenities. And altogether, it's a pretty fantastic combination of all of those. Along with those, Tracy, while it's not on there, I consider our community and amenities to be our schools. They are essential to what we do. Whether they have a separate category or not, government, schools are all things that really are responsible to you, the taxpayer. For the city of Jasper specifically, we have the 4 Ps. Quality of place really is people, productivity, projects, and yes, those potential challenges. From our perspective, each of these impacts our citizens, impacts our workforce, and impacts our visitors. And we'll break those down today. I'll also be referring to things inside the actual document that is available for you in a PDF file or in the video that you'll see later. 17 things and 17 happenings in the city of Jasper. I've done this since I gave my first State of the City address. 12 and 12, 13 and 13. We're up to 17 and 17. I told John Schrader, who returned back to the council this year, I was at 16 for 6 weeks, and I thought, he's new, he happened, he returned back to the council. So he made my 17th. So John, thank you. And then Jasper by the numbers, which are really just random things that came from an assembly of reports that are included in our State of the City handout from every department. We just took verbatim. We put it in there. We don't change it, maybe tweak it in a format a little bit, but some of these things are just rather extraordinary, and we're very glad to share them with you throughout the day. As we go forward, Jasper people, investing in Jasper people, is really how well we serve you. How well we serve you. More than a decade ago, the state of Indiana began a program called the Indiana Safety and Health Achievement Recognition Program, called INSHARP for short. Thank goodness they shortened that. The first organization, business, government, or any other group in Indiana to be awarded INSHARP certification, which is about health and safety, was the city of Jasper. And we have renewed it every 3 years since. And it's not just sending in a piece of paper. It's going through a major safety audit. We determined more than 14 years ago that our employees going home as safe as they came in, as healthy as they came in to us at work in the morning was critical. And I want to congratulate Cale Canese and the Department of Personnel Safety and Loss Control for, again, having this renewed. We do not take this for granted. Along with that, we do a Rejuvenate Jasper wellness program. But that's serving you by making sure we have healthy people out in the city to be at their best. And also it protects taxpayers from liability. Renee Kabrick, our city attorney, works very hard also with all departments to make sure that we are buttoned up and protected and doing things right. We recently had a shooting of a pit bull who lunged at one of our officers. That triggered something that I've never done before, and I'm grateful. Hope I'll never do it again. We had a shooting review team. It was a property damage. I appointed a couple of citizens, and we ruled that the officer acted appropriately. All those things are, again, to be responsible and protect the liability of the city. Speaking of the Jasper Police Department, we're now at 25 officers It's been the most extraordinarily challenging time over the last 6 months. We'll talk about that later. But it's just a phenomenal effort from new Chief Nathan Schmidt, former assistant, and new assistant Aaron Pearson, and all those that serve now in the department. I do want to congratulate this morning, through the council's additional funding of 2 other police officers for patrol officers, we moved to add to a detective force. Our detective force of essentially 1 plus a school resource officer now has 3. Congratulations to Officer Martin Loya and Officer Greg Brescher for becoming detectives in short order. We're very happy for that. Jasper Police responded to 13,000 calls for service last year. About 9,500 in 2016. You're going, wow, things are really changing. You know, we are. There is an impact. But the officers are also now essentially doing more from their car. They're engaging more. They're doing their reports from their car. Every car has a computer. And so they're basically not back at the station as often as what we used to require them to be. And let me give you an example. In 2016, we did 22 night checks, going by a business, checking the doors just to see if something's locked. In 2017, we did more than 700. And it's so nice as the mayor to get a little note, or certainly the police department, hey, thanks for stopping by my building last night. City Hall gets a couple of those. I would say the courthouse probably has too. If not, Nathan put that on the list. And the schools as well. We just leave a note, hey, we were here. And it's just wonderful. But we have, again, we're growing the force. It's a response to where the community's at. Federal Bureau of Investigation says we really should be at 2 officers for every 1,000 people. So technically, we're still about 5 or 6 short. But I can't compliment, again, the police for the work that they do in serving the community, not just in a criminal sense, in a very strong protective sense. Then there's the Jasper Volunteer Fire Department. If you see on there, it said directly saved 4 lives in 2017. Essentially, that's the use of an AED, an automatic defibrillator. Well, let me expand upon that. Since mid-December, we've employed a defibrillator 9 times with our fire department. 7 of those people are still alive today. Unfortunately, 2 are not, but just imagine. We employ that, or not only do we use it well. Our squad is ready and fully able to respond accordingly, not with this, just with that device, but to anything that we have. And it's just a fantastic operation. We did get a new fire truck last year, and it's in the lower portion of your photo. Fire Rescue 1 is essentially what would be called our rescue squad. We kept our old one. We now actually have 2. And they both roll very well. They're the ones that get used all the time. The previous one was 22 years old. And maybe most importantly, but a little less understood, is that we sustained our ISO rating of 4. What does that mean for you? Well, in Jasper, that means that for others around the country, several thousand cities are rated on that. That helps with your insurance ratings on property and casualty. The scale goes from 10 at the lowest to 1 at the highest. And you are graded as a department. Volunteer or paid departments make no difference. We are not far from a 3, but in sustaining the 4, we've helped our citizens and our residents and also our businesses who actually are paying that insurance, and we're able to reduce their premiums. This is a big deal. We're only one of 69 departments in the state of Indiana with a level 4 or above. And for a department that is all volunteer, it's just a rather phenomenal place to be. The other P is investing in Jasper productivity for quality of place. The county shared their, I think, 3.9 in roads and whatever else. You're around 660 miles. We're about 215 of mileage in the city, or 115, excuse me. I'm thinking of center line versus lanes. And we do about $2 million of street and sidewalk work annually. I refer back to this from last year, I think, and I see former Mayor Jonathan Weinstapler of Evansville. Evansville at one time had a repaving budget in 2016 of about 1.9, and now we're all facing some of those same pothole issues. But this is what we do regularly. I may tell you that we've also added a $1 million infrastructure grant from the Community Crossings funding. We put that generally back into that regular work. We did in this recent submission, did not have a major project to work with. We helped accentuate the projects we currently have, but that freed up somewhere just shy of another $1 million to be reinvested back in the next coming year. Stormwater may mean nothing to you until your ditch fills up or until 3rd and Newton backs up with water. But stormwater is a federal mandate. Stormwater is a federal unfunded mandate. You pay stormwater fees if you live in the city of Jasper. We use those fees. We do about $500,000 of stormwater work annually, and it's very significant. So these are some of the infrastructure things that we do. We have upgrades constantly in electrical distribution. We're very redundant in our system. And remember, Jasper has its own distribution. We receive our electric power from a cooperative called IMPA, Indiana Municipal Power Authority. But we then distribute that, and we look for redundancy a lot. So if something, a limb goes across a line, we can really reroute something to be able to serve there very quickly. There are always new mandates for water, wastewater, constantly, and most, if not all, come without any funding. So we self-fund through our utility budgets. And our utility crews, gas, water, electric, wastewater, are things that very few cities have. We own all of those utilities. There are just maybe a half a dozen or so cities in the state of Indiana our size, some less, that actually have that mix. And that's an asset for us. And those are things that we want to leverage even more in the future as we go through our 21st Century Utilities program, some cost of service studies and things like this that will enable to, again, use our utilities as an economic development tool even greater than what they are, so that we can continue to compete as well. Something you will notice, and I want to give you a heads up, between this summer and probably the summer of 2019, Newton Street, US 231, that corridor generally from Dairy Queen and Jasper and Highway 56, 6th Street, all the way out north to 30th Street is going to begin to look like a zipper. And if you want to yell at me now and throw things, that's fine. Just get it off your chest, because I can't change it. The reason being, we're going to upgrade 13,000 linear feet of water line from a 4-inch line to an 8-inch line. And we're doing that, and then we're going to look off of building, taking care of people's wastewater laterals that we mandate them to do, and literally opening up the street. And we'll be putting it back together as we go, but it's going to look like it has a scar. And in 2019, the state of Indiana will be coming back in, milling, and basically repaving. So please understand, this is coming up. We will want to make sure, it's been my request, that that particular project takes a life of its own. I'd rather not get phone calls at the city hall. Yes, we'll know what's going on. We just want you to be able to be updated by our contractor to say, here's where we're at today. Again, it's going to be a process. I'm not sure if it'll start from the north side, in the middle, go out. We don't know that yet because it's not been finalized, but we do know that it will be a major significant upgrade that's going to cost somewhere about $2.6 million, of which half of it's being funded by the federal government. But we're paying for the rest through our water collections. But it's a big deal. We're taking pipe that actually was ordered from Montgomery Ward catalog, kind of like Sears in World War II, and we're upgrading that now. So it's a big deal. The Mid-State Corridor, Councilman shared this earlier. Jerry, you're right. I don't know of anything that is in community, anything greater for us that we will be working on. And that involves all municipalities, all levels of the county, other counties, at least at this time, Spencer County. And the Mid-States Corridor is going to be something that we will face, and we will be having to put money into it. It's going to be leveraging our local money, both private and public, and we're still working on how that may work in order to entice the state to invest the most significant portion and to get this done. I don't know where it's going to go. It would be my preference as mayor that we go back very close, if not similar to the original 231 bypass on the east side. INDOT will finally make that decision. At some point, we're not near there. But I think as taxpayers and businesses, you need to understand that the ability to fund this on a local basis is crucial for INDOT to fund it, period. Without that, and Jerry, you said that very well, it's not going to happen. The good news is we have significant dollars that I believe are being developed at this time from sources for the private sector, which will probably lead in the funding of which the public sector, all of us together, county, municipalities, will look at then using tax funds for. But we are hearing good things about the support for this, and we understand that, as Jerry said, this is the future of importance to our area. And where it starts in Dale and then goes north, where it ends after that, somewhere in the White River, and what happens after that will still also be determined. You're going to hear a term called Regional Development Authority. There'll be a Regional Development Authority board, which will not involve any city officials or county officials or elected officials. They have to be independently appointed, but we do appreciate the state of Indiana and our representatives and senators of giving us that option in the 2017 legislature. So these are the Jasper's investments in productivity. And then there are Jasper projects, and you kind of see these right now. These are the overnight things that have taken 6 years to develop. It makes my day. I am truly, truly pleased by so much of these. You know, one thing that doesn't even show on here just because of the page size, the Astra, which has had $0, maybe $1,000 sidewalk work done by government entities, been privately funded, been publicly funded through a state grant from Okra. Its $1.6 million renovation will be celebrated on April 14th with a grand reopening. The building that's been closed, a theater on the courthouse square. That group that started that Next Act really coming out of the downtown riverfront master plan of the city and seeing the vision for that birth again is just phenomenal. I want to congratulate them because that is part of this as well. It wasn't directly involved in the city government, but it is our city and it's our county. We're very grateful. Specifically on these particular projects, there's a book called Good to Great by Jim Collins, and in it he talks about the flywheel effect. And it says basically each turn of the flywheel, which is a basic large gear, builds upon the work done earlier, compounding your investment of effort. That's exactly where we're at. Each of these projects have built upon another. They didn't all come from the mayor's brain. Some of them may have been ideas we shared early on. Some came from vision. Some came, and significant numbers came from planning. All were put into place because of planning, and now we're executing. So we have the Giga City build, and Smithville, I know, has representatives here today. Thank you. Again, a $16 million investment in Jasper to build complete fiber optics throughout the city, accessible to all businesses and residential areas at no cost to the city of Jasper taxpayer. I don't know of another city that's got that. People are begging and buying their way into that infrastructure. It's going to be extremely important for our future, and I want to thank them for that. Vine Street Lofts, part of our former restoration of factories. We had over 1 million square feet of industrial space in or near downtown Jasper when I became mayor in 2012. We currently have projects underway, by my count, an estimate of maybe 700 to 750,000 square feet of those. And the city played a role into some of them. We did things we normally would not do. We helped put some private money, and the county helped on Vine Street Lofts with us, with public money with private investors. And really we have $30 million in 2 former factories across from each other. One is for workforce housing. Vine Street Lofts will be 62 senior housing units. And what's really interesting about that building has been through bankruptcy twice. And it's amazing to see what happens to it now. And it will change the whole neighborhood. We've had some private investment that's occurred because of the public and private investment next door. It's a phenomenal effort, and I want to again thank the county for joining with us in doing some local funding towards that. But altogether, the 2 projects, Jasper Lofts, Vine Street Lofts, workforce housing, senior housing, about $30 million of investment, most of it private. River Center, I'm not really sure what else I could say except jump with joy. If I had had $1 for every time someone said, Mayor, tear that building down, and remember it was vacant 10 years before I came into office, then I think I'd be pretty wealthy. But I'm not, and I always said I haven't heard no enough yet. And we have opened the door and the opportunity for River Center, a private development, through Boxer Girl, through General Hotels Corporation. And you see what's happening as you come out to the center here today, what's happening along the Patoka River. And every day I drive by there and I just want to pinch myself. And again, it's not that we did things as mayor or only as a city. Jasper itself was the inviter. We presented well. Once we opened up the fact that we have these buildings and we have an interest in helping with the development, whether it's through tax increment financing or in some aspects abatement or in other aspects taking our utilities and helping to work with them, then we had people interested in us. And this is a $30+ million venture, and it's amazing. And I love to watch it work. When people tell you that No one's done that yet. That's a perfect description of the Jasper Cultural Center. I don't know how often we run into these words of, no one's ever done that, Mayor. Wow, no one's put that together. Renee, I don't think anyone's really looked at this. Darla Blazier, Director of Community Development Planning, you can't do that. Well, we are. And we are because of the taxpayers who help support this project. Tracy, you talked about STEAM, and that's true. There is STEM, add arts to that. We have a facility called the Jasper Cultural Center that will soon start on the site of the former Hoosier Desk building, right across the street from River Center's investment. And this $17 million-ish investment will bring our Jasper Public Library and the City of Jasper Arts together under one roof. What an amazing venture. We have also toured this. We have library funds. We have City of Jasper funds. We have Indiana Economic Development tax credits. And we have currently, as it stands, about $4.6 million of private funds through Jasper Leads, including a $1.7 million challenge grant from Jim and Pat Tien. Thank you very much, Jim and Pat. You're back there to really start that process. No one's ever done that before. The state of Indiana invested in this project with 2 tax-paying entities, not a private developer, but we brought a private developer on board. These 2 projects, Cultural Center, River Center, will be building off each other and really adding to what's already there and has been put there by Rojack and others. It's rather amazing to see this develop. And in about another 3 months from now, we'll open the Parklands of Jasper. We worked together. Initially, it was like we kind of wrestled a little bit back and forth, the school corporation with land and who's doing what. But you know what? We're very good neighbors. We do things together. And ultimately, it worked out that the Parklands developed. The state of Indiana is a partner on this. This project is a $7.5 million, 75-acre park that used to be a former golf course and now 25 acres of wooded area that will never change again. If you haven't been to the wooded area, and most people haven't because it's been privately owned, it's phenomenal. And again, sometime probably in June, late June, Jasper Park Department, Kim Buck, Rob Gooksell, thank you very much for that, have been able to really take this from a dream. I think Ken said it best. Mayor, we don't have a large central park and never have. Ken, we now have a large central park. It's a rather amazing thing, but $2.5 million roughly is private investment. It's just the way we do things. We're very, very blessed. I may add, so is this getting any payback whatsoever? Do we have anything that we can look at and say, well, what's the value of quality of place? I can point to this, that in 2017, our assessed valuation grew $23 million, from $870 million to $893 million. We want to continue that trend. To be quite honest, not sure how the assessors do that. That's a whole different mystery to me. We are nowhere near, frankly, the assessed valuation we had in Jasper for the school corporation either before the depression or the deep recession we had in 2008. But we are climbing back. So it's rather phenomenal as you see this. Then there are the potential challenges ahead. These are not secrets. Really, they aren't whatsoever. Attracting talent, growing our workforce to meet the demand of our employers. We truly are a regional city. I thought we invented that term before the state of Indiana did. We're a center for employment, center for healthcare, center for shopping, for dining, for entertainment. And there's great synergy in Jasper between the public sector, public funding, private sector investments, and the philanthropic investments, which accommodated all of those. It's a very unique thing. This city gives. As long as there's a purpose, as long as there's a reason, whether it's through the municipality, through what you see here on the screens, through churches, through the chamber, we are a very giving city, and we cannot say thank you enough for that. But the essence of all we have dreamed and planned for and acted upon over the last 6 years is driven by the quality of place. We are grateful that the state of Indiana has given us some long-term funding solutions, especially for a mid-state corridor. Again, we have to put a lot of that effort into that, but it's there, as well as the possibility of police and fire. And they've done that with the opportunity to adjust some local taxation. We always ask for home rule. We have it. We're going to have to look, as Jerry Hunefeld said, how we will do things in the future. I definitely have a need for additional funding of police and fire. I know that last year as we received our new rescue vehicle in, the city of Owensboro had bought a large tower truck, of which our tower will be outdated in about 6 or 7 years. If we had bought that tower truck this year, $1.2 million. Probably another 6 years, $1.5 million. We have the ability to fund and pay cash for every fire truck that we have up to this point. I'm not sure I have those dollars, no matter how much we fund them, both with taxpayer dollars and private investments. I'm just giving you some heads up. These are things that we face as we grow, and do we need to grow the police department? We may want to look at some school resource officers, of having police in the school additionally in response to some of the situations that are impacting us now. These are things just letting taxpayers know that we face as potential challenges. Then there are always those state and federal laws and unfunded mandates. They occur, they will continue to occur. Hopefully we can cover the cost of them, but ultimately all local governments face that. And then the impact of substance abuse, not just on the person using a substance, but on their families, on crime, on our local employers. At 98% employment, we don't have a lot of wiggle room at all in our workforce. And when you have a worker that takes a job on Monday and doesn't show up on Tuesday, we have some problems. And I'll be first to tell you today, we have a substance abuse problem in Jasper and in Du Bois County. There's just no doubt about it. And you don't want to hide from it, but the impact that this has on our first responders or EMS or schools or jail or courts is all negative. There is nothing positive about it. It reaches everywhere in our city. And if it makes you feel any better, 91 of the other 91 counties have the same thing. It impacts our local budgets, law enforcement, more school resource officers, but we can't really buy our way out of this because it's a people problem. If I could only be there, I think, Nathan, I shared this with you last week. I have two things. If I could be there and ask this question when the person is going to be abusing a substance for the very first time, what is it in your life at this moment that will cause you to take something and inject it or swallow it that will change your life forever? Just to ask that question. And none of us are at that moment where we could actually do that for that person. It is extraordinarily difficult. It involves everyone in this room. You can hear, read, or see the results of it, and we can't shy away from it. I don't have a direct solution today. We have had probably more time invested in the last 6 months in my administration, especially at my level, and with those in the room around this county government, schools, et cetera, seminars on this issue, at least equal to the economic development part. The one thing I am confident of is that there is an opportunity for the rising tide of economic development to lift all ships. We have that going for us. Our police officers, as we interviewed for detectives last week, said, Mayor, we know what we're dealing with every day, and yet we can't wait to get back from Jasper when we've been somewhere else. We're glad to be here. I don't say that with any great haughtiness, but I do believe it's true. And yet it's a very thin line. For them, it's a thin blue line. For us, it's a societal line. And I just want you to be aware of that we are working on it, but it is a people problem, and since you are people, we need your help. In the insert, and by the way, I have printouts up here. We are Facebook Live streaming at this point. That'll be posted on jasper.gov/Indiana, and then also on our city website, a PDF of everything I've spoken to in much greater detail is shared today. But we have these documents, again, 17 happenings in the city of Jasper in 17, and Jasper by the number. And just before I close, I'd like to say just a little bit of this. Here's some numbers. Total sales of the Jasper municipal utilities, $42,150,000. 47 inches of rain recorded by the Jasper wastewater department in 2017, probably 50 inches recorded in February, maybe. Out of that $42 million in sales, $6,500 in bad debt. We really kicked butt in collecting things. And people still live after we collect it. It's just amazing how no big heavy things. Value of building permits, not tax value, but value of building permits issued by the city of Jasper in 2017, $31,300,000. I love that. Number of runs made by the Jasper Volunteer Fire Department. Chief Hoaksang, wherever you're at, thank you very much. I heard pager go off a while ago. You didn't stand up. That was good. 353 runs, and half of those were false alarms. Could use a little bit better help if you got a business making sure your alarm doesn't go off. So anyway, just be kind of nice. That's an expensive run. For a volunteer, that means they're leaving their businesses to come take care of yours. 99.9%. That's the percentage of tickets sold for the Spirit of Jasper last year. And now, I'm the only mayor in the state of Indiana that has a train. I don't know how long we'll have the train, but I got one. Fishers used to have a train, and Mayor Fadness of Fishers was here a couple weeks ago, and he refused to take ours back along with him. So we've got it. But we sell it out. When we came in, 40% was our occupancy. And again, we're up now to almost 100% every year. And 135, Kyle Rupert, Jasper Arts Department, our new director, number of events hosted by the Jasper Arts Department, and that's from in the Performing Arts Center to the senior citizens, into the schools, you name it. We're a great city. And many of you knew it, but in addition to police, fire, streets, and parks, for the last 43 years, Jasper has had an arts department, the only city in the state of Indiana with it. As I close today, invitation for you, be a part of our future. Coming up very shortly, we'll be doing vision planning and execution in regards to our new comp plan or comprehensive plan. While it's a requirement, I can promise you we've literally abused the 2010 comprehensive plan. It is no value to us because we've done most everything it called for. I just would encourage you that when the new one is completed, maybe sometime in 2019, you read it and you hold the feet to the fire for those next that follow me, or me if I'm still in office, to do the same. We gave you this guide. You look at it and you do what you can with it. Because I know that sometimes over the years, I've had to ask the question, you passed the 2010 comp plan, did you read it? And I don't want to ask that again. So we need your help to help build that and then to help do it. And ladies and gentlemen, this kind of concludes where I was at in the 2018 State of the City. It's been a phenomenal run. I cannot believe this is my 7th year of delivering this. And there have been a lot of great moments in those 7 years, and there are many more this year, but I can tell you the worst moment was this one, because I dedicate this to my friend, Chief Bennett. That's about all I can say. I miss him. And again, I'm very proud of where the police department has come. Nathan, it's your department. We've talked about that. But it means so much because of what this guy gave. I only asked him for 4 years because he was an old fart to begin with. And he said he ended up telling me he was going to give me 8, and we didn't make it together. And thanks, Chief, and thank you.